Hello, this is Mike Rasmussen. It is August 10th, CPA Straight Talk for Small Business. As expected from last week, we had 4 executive orders signed by President Trump, which we can all just deal with. And really, I'm going to walk you through all 4 of them, 3 of the 4. And the reason why I'm doing this is I want to really talk to you about especially the payroll tax cut, so that we don't get overzealous and what is going to happen. Okay, so I'm going to give you some guidance on that. So stay tuned. So I want to walk you through the SBA site. Let me, as I always do, and let me show you what happened there. So when you go to the SBA site, which is the SBA.gov funding options, this is where we've got the Paycheck Protection Program, which ended Saturday night. Okay, so as soon as I get my computer back up here and running, as I've got other ones going as well, basically what's happening is on Saturday night, you're going to see, here it is, closed August 8th. So that you no more applying for the Paycheck Protection Program, it's closed. There's nothing new as far as guidance on submitting loan forgiveness other than this document, which is right here. You're able to go look at it, click on it. It's a bunch of FAQ. It's great information. You can scan documents. It's really a bunch of examples on how to apply for loan forgiveness, whether you use the easy form or the long form. And again, because of the 26-week Paycheck Flexibility Act that was enacted, people are really, this is not where the most important, where people going out for forgiveness right now. And again, even if your covered period is ended and you've applied for forgiveness, even if you don't get all of it forgiven, you still have another 10 months to start and make your first payment. Now, that's the PPP. On the SBA's economic injury disaster loan, as you can see, that is still open. Okay, apply here. This is for the 30-year, 3 3/4% payments start in a year. Okay, so that is still available. So let me jump back and again, I don't favor any news organizations. I just happen to go right here to avoid as much as I could about as far as getting any oh my gosh, and getting any there we go. So what were the 4 things? There was basically the $400 per week is instead of $600 per week. So there were 4. So let's just jump right into the unemployment. It is $400 per week per which is proposed, and of course it was $600 per week, and that ended July 31st. So this is just an executive order that in theory is efforts from the federal government, because the Senate could not come up with a bill that was approved on. Then basically President Trump wrote an executive order, and it's more than likely going to get challenged. So right now we're just going to have to watch how it's going to get paid out. But if you have employees that were on unemployment, and this $400 is not going to do that for them, and they're possibly, and you're doing well in your business model, I would reach back out to your employees. Okay, reach back out and find, if this $400, now it may not even be $400, and in theory, we're working through all the details right now, but in theory, the employees need to go to the state unemployment office and start finding out how that state is going to, and as all this week, I'm sure we're going to hear how each state is going to address this executive order. And that's if the White House does not get contacted by the Senate or Chuck Schumer, or both sides of the parties don't go back together and say, okay, now we have this executive order to deal with. Are we going to sue and go after the White House for overstepping their spending authority, or what's going to happen. So I would say this is not law. Remember, this is law. When I go to congress.gov, and that's the thing to be careful of. When it's been actually enacted, and I can see it here, and we've seen that it's passed the House and the Senate and the White House, that will all be reflected here. All that's been announced right here has not been all the way passed through to this site, which is basically law. And so for anybody, for any of these news organizations to opine, it's really the executive order that we started walking through right there is an executive order. It's not law. It's the president directing something to happen. Okay, so legal or not, it is an executive order that organizations need to act on. So the states need to at least act on this. How every state is going to act is up in the air. So I am sure every day as I go through all the sites, we're going to find out how every state is going to react to this now $400 payment that apparently there's funds that are being available for this. Okay. The next one is this is all just rhetoric right here. So let's look at the next one. There's the $400 per week unemployment assistance to renters and homeowners. Here we go. Congress passed the CARES Act in March that issued a 120-day temporary eviction moratorium on renters in federal housing assistance programs or those who live in a property federally backed mortgage. That eviction moratorium expired in July, very similarly to the federal unemployment $600 per week. The executive action would encourage federal efforts to help renters and homeowners avoid eviction or foreclosure for failing to make their monthly payments. He directs administrators to identify available funds to provide temporary financial assistance to renters and homeowners who, as a result of the financial hardship caused by COVID-19, are struggling to meet their monthly rental mortgage obligations. If you want to read more on all the viewpoints, jump on the internet and you can read till your heart's content. I'm going to skip the payroll tax holiday, but here we go. The extension of student loan relief. The executive act suspends federal student loan payments and sets interest rates to 0% through December 31, 2025. The current student loan relief programs were to expire on September 3rd. So here is the one that I really want to go through. So it is right here where it talks about the payroll tax holiday. Trump defers the payroll taxes from September 1 to December 31, 2020 for employees making $100,000 or less a year. The tax deducted from workers' paychecks, funds, Social Security, and Medicare. Employees would need to repay the federal government once the tax holiday ends without further action. Okay, employees would need to repay the federal government right here. So the employees would need to repay the federal government once the tax holiday ends without, all this is it's not taken out of your check, but you possibly might have to pay it back. Now you're going to hear out there, and it's going to be this executive action. What does an employer do when they just don't have, they employ? Two scenarios. One is they don't withhold payroll taxes from the employee's paychecks, so the employee gets the money, but then the employee leaves, or after 7/31/20 leaves, fired, separates from service. How does that employer that withheld that money from the employee and the employer is stuck on the hook to be making that payment? And in theory, what it says here is that the employee's got to pay it back. So what the employer technically would do somewhere when it hits here, let's go to irs.gov. Got it. When it actually hits here and we get guidance, I'm going to then be able to talk. So let's just go to, let's just see if there's anything here on executive orders and see if there's any news at the irs.gov website. And let's just see news right here. And I would expect something to be right at the top. January 2020. Here's July 29. So I don't see, they're not even covering it. So I would expect probably nothing to be but once it hits here, then we can truly talk about how to deal with this payroll tax holiday. Okay, so the more I'm reading into it, it was very brief. This employees need to repay the federal government once the tax holiday ends without further action. Okay, so what if the employees keep the money and the payroll taxes aren't withheld out of their paycheck? They separate from service in the next 4 months, and they can't, and the employer can't collect from the employee at a future. You're talking just a deferment. So I'm explaining, hang tight. Just hang tight on this one. Let the next few days go out. I would go immediately to the state. I would go to the state and find out how the state's going to handle these 4 executive actions. And then what I would also do is I would actually jump on this show every day, and I would find out exactly what is going on as far as what movement. And if now all of a sudden, because of these executive actions, we're now back to, well, now we'll negotiate, because there was nothing addressed with the $1,200 stimulant. There was nothing addressed with any future PPP. So businesses are still hurting out here, even though this has happened. And again, I'm looking at when does the news, and when is there going to be guidance, and when's the guidance going basically to happen, especially if it has to do with payroll cuts. I'm going to look right here. I'm going to look to the IRS and stay focused there. And then even in guidance wise on any new PPP, I'm going to go here to the SBA.gov. So I'm going to look for any new programs or anything that's going to be enacted or any modification to this program that was in place up till August 8th. I'm going to go to the SBA.gov site. For the IRS, for the payroll tax cut, I'm going to go through here. I'm going to go to irs.gov, and I'm going to start looking for any news that's happening regarding PPP. And there's executive orders by, I'm going to put in here, go Trump. I'm just going to search, and anybody, you can do this, but I'm going to go in and look for anything that's happened. And I don't see anything that's happened there with the IRS. So again, payroll tax, I'm going to go here. And then for SBA, anything related to the funding programs that have been out here, I'm going to go to SBA.gov. And then I'm going to go to, even when it's starting to be talked about, I'm going to then watch it go through Congress.gov to see if there's any movement on actions on the PPP. For example, Senate Bill 4117 is to provide automatic forgiveness for Paycheck Protection Program loans under $150,000 for other purposes. That is where I'm going to go to. Next, look at then I go to the state. I want to see, and I'm going to talk about, what I'm explaining to you is we've talked about keeping a notes, a diary, a journal of exactly what's happening out there in the country right now, specifically to your state, specifically to your county. So the reason why is as new programs come out with the SBA, new programs get announced with the IRS, and how they apply to you in the state. As we've seen in the past, there are certifications that you as a business owner, small business owner, have to certify and represent when you applied for PPP, when you applied for EIDL, when you're applying for any government assistance, you're certifying that you were in business. One of them, were you in business February 15, 2020? If in some of them is how are your sales the first quarter of 2020 compared to the same equivalent quarter, first quarter of 2019? How do those compare? So you're making certifications and on what of the programs. And so help you on this. Keep a journal of exactly what is out there today as far as programs go. That's why I'm doing this every day, so that you can, and how the state is treating. Are you mandated with masks? Are you mandated for that restaurants and bars be shut? What are you mandated in by state? Okay, and here's let's see, and then here's news. Here's trends, vaccine, all of that. Wear a mask shows here by going. I like this site just because there's not a lot of ads on it, but I go to Axios and there's a few, and it's not one or the other, but at least it's giving me some news that I can quickly get to about what is happening. Okay, and then it gives me the number of COVID and the deaths and the confirmed cases here. Again, this is unique to your small business in your state. Okay, all right. So that's where that's one of the other ones that I would go to. Now, what do you do next? I would again, I've always said what we need to start working on is your business model and looking forward into the future of what your business is going to look like going forward. So if you haven't done a projection, which would be a forecast of as simple as what do you expect over the next 3 to 6 months? So I would, and the beginning point is going to be, what did you do in April, May, June, and July? So I would have the ability right now to go into your file, if you can, into your accounting file and find out how you did April, May, June, July. Look, numbers don't lie. And if you can see and starting with your sales in your small business, my call to action for you is to take a breather, get this information from your accountant internally or externally, and start and compare April, May, June, July numbers of 2020. And why do you want those? You're looking at, and you want to do them by percentages so that you can see what was a percentage of sales, what was labor percentage, what was my cost of goods sold as a percentage of sale. Now, you can either, with those 4 months, you can start seeing a trend. And the reality is it may be a big reality. This is what you're going to do, to think that your business after those 4 months, with cases still being confirmed and deaths still spiking and happening, and even if it's leveling off, we are affected by this pandemic. So when you looking at the last 4 months, hopefully you've seen it gone up, but if you're seeing a plateau and your sales mix is going to be, if you're in a restaurant or your walk-in business for a small business, I don't care if it's a bicycle shop or a tire shop, if your business has been impacted by the way customers buy from you. So if you majorly need to start keeping track of online versus walk-in. And that mix, if you can start developing a trend, which is where you need to start marketing towards what's happening out there. And you almost, how can I say, you can't outguess the stats. The stats are, you can somewhat try to hope and guess and plan, at least guess what's going to happen with this pandemic, but we don't have a lot of data. So in your region could be impacted by a riot. Your location could be impacted by a lot of restaurants, the people that are not frequently the restaurants and bars around your small business is going to impact sales. So, or you're by a movie theater. or you're by something that is severely impacted with walk-in traffic that used to draw a lot of business. The reverse can happen. You may be in a location that the other side happens. But knowing your sales mix by the type of revenue that comes in your door, whether it's walk-in, whether it's online, whether it's referral, however that mix is made up, I would jump into your financial statement and your accounting practice, look back the last 4 months. I would look back, and this is what I'm going to leave you with today, is look back the last 4 months, which would be April, May, June, July, and the sales mix, and break it out as aggressively as you can and start looking at the percentage. If online went from 5% to 10% to 20% to 30%, you need to focus there, because that's a trend that is happening. People are finding you and spend more hours, effort, and dollars there in that area. If your walk-in has gone from, well, dipped down to 10% and has stayed at 10%, you need to that people that are coming in, that's not going to be a part of your business. It's going to provide the overhead, but it's not going to be where you need to focus new business. It's in that online, which is 10, 20, 30, 40%. People are finding you on the internet. Okay. The walk-ins are just going to, and the walk-ins, again, you need to look at this sales mix every day, every week, every month, because these ratios could change. Okay. You could level off in online sales. Something could happen down the street, and all of a sudden the next month you have a 20, 30% jump in your walk-in. So you've got to be ready and really watch your numbers, your sales mix, whether it is online or walk-in. In restaurants, it's dine-in, takeout, you name it. But whatever the type of how sales happen with your company, pull that out of how you're keeping track of your records, with your point of sale, however you're doing that, and make sure that you know your sales mix, and then make sure that all your expenses are looking at how your expenses are those expenses geared toward especially the line item that's going on. If it's online, then you need to invest some of your resources, which includes labor, to possibly, instead of a server or an employee waiting for being hired, just in case some people come through the door, move that person to online experience and increase resources where the sales traffic is coming into your business. Does that make sense? I hope it does. I've had this map up. I'm going to come back and just talk to you directly. Take your accounting records from what came in the bank, what went out, but take your accounting records. Well, my accountant hasn't got to you. It's just no excuse to not have what came in the door. What was your sales? I call it a mix. Whether it was online or walk-in, takeout, however your referral, however that mix, and look at the percentages from April, May, June, July. Look at those, and then once you see what is trending up in your area, it is affected by the pandemic. So it could be local businesses being shut down, local theater, whatever, but in your area or online competition or whatever, however the trends are happening. If you're going up in one area, put energies and resources to that area. If I was to ask someone just did, I had a small business, a retailer in Southern California, and I just said, I don't do the books for them. And I just said, shoot me your last 4 months sales mix by total revenue that's come in. And and we found out it was online, walk-in, and then there were trade shows they did. And wasn't able to give it to me. Wasn't able to send it. I said, well, how do you know how you were impacted? I said, what's been going on? Are you all mandated with masks what's your geography if you have walk-in? Well, I'm 25% walk-in. Well, what around you, what around you has open or shut down that normally brings traffic to your business? Well, I had a movie theater and I don't know, gas station went out, and then of course I have a bunch of restaurants. And I said, well, okay, how much effort then, knowing those people aren't there, have you put into online, which you've been starting to see? Yeah, I've got a presence out there, and that's actually starting to grow. So then when I said, look at your expenses, your payroll, your not your fixed, your rent, but your variable, which is your payroll and your marketing expenses. Where are you spending that? And are you spending those to where your sales mix is trending? That's what I'm gonna leave you with. Are you able to look at your financial statement, where you spent the money that came in? Are you able to are your expenses, have you thought out that the money you're expending, the resources and the monies you're expending with the sales that are coming in are geared towards where your sales mix is trending? How's that? Did you get that? I hope you got that. I'm gonna leave you with that. Call your accountant and CPA and go, number one, I need a profit and loss statement. It doesn't have to be so fancy. An internal management use only for April, May, June, July. Look at the top line. If it just says sales, that's the first indicator. Say, I need the ability, and I'll help. I, being the small business owner to the advisor, I'll help you. And I want it broken out by online, and I want it broken out by walk-in, however that is, or trade show, whatever those are, 2 to 3 to 4. Don't get carried away. Those 4. And I will give you the data not only for the past 4 months we can estimate, but from here going forward, August 10th going forward, we are going to work together. The advisor and you are going to work together, and we are going to identify those revenue streams coming in that are broken down by sales. So calling that a sales mix. And your advisor is probably going to go, where did you hear this? Okay, so I'm going to have to adjust the records and just demand it to get it done, because it can be done. It's going to take some effort on you. It's going to take some effort on the accountant or your advisor or internal, but get that sales mix. Then the next step, once you have it, the minute you have that, you're going to start looking for trends. When you see one of those sales mix items, take online, is going up, you need to look at where you're spending your money. Labor and direct expenses called possibly marketing and other items. You should be spending your efforts and energies and dollars on trending up sales mix revenue streams. I'm going to leave you with that. There's my for the day. And I hope you have a great day. It's going to be interesting how the states and all these executive orders pan out this week. But have a great day, and I will talk to you tomorrow. It is August 10th, CPA Straight Talk for Small Business. Take care.